ask me any questions. There we go. Live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a lot of inquiries regarding China in the last 24 hours, a lot more than before, I'd say. I think it's partly because of what's happened. My heart goes out to all my friends in the Middle East because I've got lots of friends particularly in Dubai. And yeah, I think it's a real shame what's happening out there, and I hope everyone's safe. But I wanted to talk about another topic tonight, which is more on what I actually do, which is B2B, so business to business. And if you think China is slowing down for B2B, you're looking in the wrong places. It's not at all. I'd say it's one of the most lucrative, simplest, safest markets to be doing business right now. And the big opportunities right now, they're not random consumer hype. They're structured, they're complex industries, they're industrial, they are clinical trials, they're life sciences, they're healthcare. B2B companies have got serious budgets, and they're looking to deploy that budget into markets that are vibrant, lots of opportunities. I knew there was something I missed. Cool. Crisis averted. So the opportunity in China is huge for B2B. But I would say it's fact that most international companies are still getting it wrong with China. Their strategy, the way they do business here, their marketing, which is the most important thing. It is not sales in the beginning. Your most important entry into China is your marketing. If people don't know about you, how are you going to sell a product? You can't sell a product to someone or a service that don't know about you. So tonight, I'm really going to break down where the real opportunities are and how to actually do business in China and how to actually convert. Because again, sales are important, but I'll move this because I've written all my notes. I've got my notes in my head. But really, the opportunity right now with China is B2B and moving now, because I think a lot of people are distracted with what's happening in the US and the Middle East. And China's still rocking and rolling. They're still doing business here. They are not stopping, right? So I want to talk more on where the opportunities are. So let's deep dive into that. And just before I kick off with the opportunities, what do I do? So I'm a China hand. I'm a bridge between companies entering or already in China, mainly international companies and B2B. I mainly cover things like healthcare, life sciences, advanced manufacturing as a whole, tech, bit on AI, medical equipment, you name it. When it comes to B2B, I kind of know how to grow companies here, whether you're starting off small or you start off pretty big. Although the budgets I kind of deal with, I'm not dealing with £5,000-10,000 here, 50,000 to 100,000 RMB. The budgets I'm dealing with are a lot bigger, because you can't crack China on 5K £5,000, £50,000 RMB experiments. It doesn't work. You need long-term strategy with China. You need a proper plan in place. What I do is a kind of bridge. So I work with different partners that can execute on the marketing, PR, expos. I'm mainly entering already in China, but I also help Chinese companies going abroad. So Chinese companies that want to localize abroad, because I think Chinese companies need help as well. It's not just one way. It's also Chinese companies looking to go overseas. So Chinese companies looking to go to UK or Europe, US, Australia, Southeast Asia. Now, Southeast Asia has become quite an interesting area for me because I'm working with different partners there now that are looking to grow. Because sometimes I'll get companies, international companies say, yeah, we want a piece of China, but we're also looking at Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. Can you help us there? Yeah, that is an area that I can support on. Middleman, I'd say yes, but I don't purely just connect. I do a lot more. I get involved sometimes in the consultancy or the execution, on the ground support. Actually, I was speaking with a company today, 2 companies that need support with their expos here in China, and I'll probably be on their booth. I'll be in front of the booth, supporting, qualifying the right people, walking past the booth, getting people to follow, getting rid of the aunties and the uncles and the students that are never going to buy products or services. They just want a freebie. I focus on qualification. So that's really where my forte is. So the kinds of companies I'm dealing with, they ideally have some sort of presence in these markets. So they have maybe a Chinese, ideally no marketing, or their marketing is really bad. And most international companies I know, their marketing is not very good. They don't really have good marketing. They don't have good PR. Some of them have reputation issues. So reputation management is something that I also offer. The kinds of marketing that I do, just to give you a quick overview, is WeChat ecosystem. So WeChat official account, Weixin Gongdonghao, WeCom, the CRM of WeChat, WeChat mini programs, webinars, WeChat video channels. For B2B websites and Baidu also help SEO. Now we're seeing more GEO, and go back and see, I did a live stream 3 or 4 nights ago on GEO, AI search, which is becoming even more popular now. Plus, you've got to be exhibiting at expos if you're B2B. You can't just rely on the digital. You've got to also be having a booth at a big expo, industry-specific event here in China in the next few months. So Chinese decision makers are still really want to grow B2B businesses here. They're a lot easier to deal with, I would say. Client is always easier. The issue with B2C, I'll take on B2C clients, but you've got to have a bigger budget than B2B. That's the issue with B2C clients now. You've got to have a massive budget. You can't crack China on £5,000-10,000. It doesn't work. I have to drum this into companies. If someone comes to me and says my budget's £5,000, I say sorry, go work with some cheap freelancer they're not going to deliver, and they'll probably charge you a couple of £100. So my markets that I cover, the clients that I mainly have are from Canada, US, UK, Europe, Australia, a bit in Singapore. I don't really touch any other country in the world unless they've got a massive budget, paying KPIs. You know, I'd love to work with more Brazilian companies. It'd be great, but honestly, I've never really worked with any, and I'm not sure if, I'd budget-wise, I'd love to work with those kind of companies. But so the biggest mistakes, I want to talk to you guys about the biggest mistakes that I see with international companies, or even some Chinese companies that are doing business here in China, which is no digital infrastructure. So they don't have the basics. So they might have a website, or they might not even have a website. If you don't have WeChat, we're talking about B2B here. If you don't have a website, WeChat, You're doing lots on WeChat with that ecosystem. So I'm not talking, I still get people coming to me saying, I've got WeChat, I've got the messaging service. So it's really crucial to have all of those key ingredients. So WeChat official account, WeCom for your CRM, so the sales team can nurture leads and follow up. WeChat mini programs. WeChat mini programs, I'd say B2B, it does work, but particularly with student accommodation companies, PBSAs, we call them, private rented accommodation, universities, some B2C, it does work. Your content shows authority. I do content pretty much every day because I'm not afraid to get my face out there. I'm not afraid to show who I am. Show me who you are. We're visual creatures, right? We buy what we can see and smell and touch and those kind of feelings that we associate with content. So I think it's so important. For B2B, Chinese case studies are crucial for targeting Chinese decision makers. And any Chinese companies out there, show enough case studies. This is not just the international companies. Chinese companies need to show more case studies. Back up who you are. Have irrefutable proof you are who you say you are. And you can deliver it time and time again. Clear positioning, online positioning and offline positioning. So clear positioning online through websites. Baidu is crucial as well for B2B. Clear positioning, industry media. So industry media, when I talk about that, if you're a clinical trials company, CRO, you need to be producing articles on industry media specific to that. Or if you're a manufacturing firm, you manufacture some sort of metal products or tools or whatever it is, you need to be producing articles or content in industry media. Because decision makers will check you in China. They will look you up. Trust me. I think a lot of companies try and do everything through distributors and trying to work with a Chinese partner, just one guy running around China. It does not work, guys. It does not work. I need to drum this into people's minds because I still get people approaching me through my WeChat and through LinkedIn every day saying, budget's £5,000, 50,000 RMB. We have a Chinese partner. We want to crack China. Good luck. I would say give me the money because it's going to get wasted anyway. Just give me the money and I'll waste it for you, right? I'll pop down to Macau and I'll gamble it. You're probably going to have more chance of cracking China doing that than actually building a business here. Chinese decision makers will look you up. They will look you up on WeChat through websites. It's usually an older demographic, right? For B2B, there's very few 20, 21-year-olds that are using Xiaohongshu and Douyin looking you up, right? It's going to be that older. So it's really crucial to understand that Chinese decision makers will look you up online. Like I would look something up online. If I want to do my research into something, I'm going to look it up online. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to do my due diligence to work out whether that is the right kind of product or service. Is it legitimate? Does it have credibility? And they will forward your profile. That's one of the keys to doing business in China is it's built on networks, right? Personally, I don't like that word guangxi. I think it's guangxi is important, but the concept of guangxi is kind of like I do a favor for you and you do favor for me back. It doesn't really. I think it's better to do a favor quickly and you get the favor back as soon as possible because I'm that kind of person. I try and help people. So, yeah, I don't know. By the way, Rachel, I don't know how to. I don't think there's a way of when I'm speaking, it will. I think after this live stream, if you see it on YouTube afterwards, I think they will have the subtitles. So you can go back and watch it on YouTube and they'll have the subtitles after this. But my targets really are more international companies. I get some Chinese clients, but most of my clients are international. They're UK, Europe, US, Australia, Singapore. So if your online positioning is weak, then you look weak. And if it looks slow and half built, you've got a website that doesn't run properly in China, or a WeChat official account that doesn't have content and it posts once a month or every few months, you're just not building credibility at all. China respects speed, infrastructure, evidence. It backs everything up with content. So B2B decision makers, logistics companies, I'm going to jump in between because some people are asking me about, do I work with logistics companies? From my experience, logistics companies, they're slow moving, ironically. Like, logistics is supposed to be about speed. But the B2B companies that I was talking to that are logistics, looking at China, they take a very long time to make decisions. And I don't like companies that take a long time to make decisions. I work at B2B companies that make decisions quickly. We want to move on China in the next month or two. We have an expo, we have an event. Let's get cracking. I don't work with companies that are, let's speak in Q3, Q4, 2026. I want to focus on companies that are really looking to move on China now, right? They're looking to build a business here now, because I've got those kind of companies lined up. So why would I want to waste my time with logistics companies? From my experience, are not the best clients, to be honest. Prove me wrong. If you're a logistics company out there and you're watching this, come and speak to me. You've got budget and pain for China. You want to grow China, speak to me. And if you look hesitant, like a lot of those logistics companies, you look risky, right? If you're kind of on the fence with China, Chinese decision makers don't respect that. They respect agility and speed and getting on with the job. They're very direct the way they do business. So I've talked a little bit about the digital side here, but next I really want to talk about expos. So expos, exhibitions in China, are massive. March and April, I've already done my calendar, my roster. I'm going to be going to an event pretty much every week here in China. Big expos, mainly B2B. Well, it's all B2B. And I know that I'm going to walk past a lot of booths that are, let's say, outdated, all in English, not really targeting Chinese decision makers. And I think it's so crucial that you understand your target audience at an expo. I think a lot of people outside of China think probably expos are a bit outdated. If you don't have a system in place and you're just decorating your stand for exhibiting at an expo, during the event, after the event, any speakers that are going on expos, content is king, so get as much content as possible. Giveaways, you've got to be having giveaways. Chinese decision makers, they will take a little cuddly toy. I always give my little kangaroo as an example. That's a great little giveaway. People like, especially if you think about it, if you were a B2B company, I would actually be leaning a little bit into the B2C. So Labubu and Fugler now, the British version of Labubu, people like to have those little things on their bags now. So I would be having some nice cuddly toy giveaways. But the crucial thing about this is you don't just give them away in China when you have an expo. What you need to be doing is make it a giveaway. So make it a competition. Follow our WeChat account, like, subscribe, Dianzan, Guangzhou, all that kind of stuff. Share this post on your WeChat moments, write a little sentence, and then have a spinner, like a spinner thing, and then you might win one of these. Or the big ones I find in China is, you think about in the summer, it gets really hot in these big expo centers. Give away those fans, or we all use our phones, don't we? You try not to use your phone too much at these expos, but having a power bank is crucial. If you have a power bank, people lose the battery on their phone and the battery dies. They've got a power bank and again, you've got to invest a little bit into this, but which we'll come on to budget in a bit. But you've got to invest a bit in China to reap the rewards. You can't do China on the cheap. I always talk about this, guys. You cannot do China on the cheap. Right. Budget. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So the budget reality is, and this is a harsh truth that you have to kind of tell companies, which is a bit of a shame. And thank you so much, guys, for the support so far. I see that I have over 100 people in my WeChat right now, which is fantastic. Xiaohongshu has over 50. TikTok needs some work. We've had over 2,000 people watch this live stream, which is fantastic. I'm very grateful. So budget, and this applies to both international companies coming to China or looking at Southeast Asia, plus Chinese companies that are looking to go abroad. You need to have a robust budget. 50,000 RMB, 5,000 pounds will not do it. You might as well give up now if that's your budget, or don't waste my time. Don't talk to me if you've got 5,000 pounds, 50,000 RMB. We're talking minimum budgets, really, to get anything off the ground. And I'm not talking about a full package here. I'm talking about maybe to do one or two things. We're looking at like 15,000, 20,000 pounds now, 150,000 to 200,000 RMB. Again, I don't want to put numbers out there that people are going to say, he said you can crack China on 15,000 pounds or 150,000 RMB. No, I didn't. What I'm saying is to get some things going, you need... Hello. Luxa. I don't know who that is. Luxa, baby. Lux. Hi. Hello. If you're looking to go abroad or you're an international company coming to China, you cannot crack China on 5,000, 10,000 pounds, or let's say 50 to 100,000 RMB. It's just impossible. Show me someone that's done that. Show me. Because I can show you companies that have started piecemeal. They've started with 15, 20,000 pounds and they've got some success, and now they're building their budget. And then you can't stick at that budget. You've got to reinvest. But you cannot crack China B2B on 5,000, 10,000. It's just impossible. And then hope for miracles. But you don't need millions as well. I mean, ideally, millions would be great. I'm always thinking about that £1 million client. I always think about, there must be someone out there that's got £1 million for China and wants to really grow into 100 million or a $1 billion business in China. But what you need is clear positioning, digital presence, local representation, so sales or someone like me on the ground, expo strategy, consistent follow-up, and a crucial one here, which is, I wrote a few little notes for you guys, is cultural intelligence. So cultural intelligence in China wins deals. Having cultural intelligence wins deals. So this is a bit of an uncomfortable part, which I'm going to talk to you guys about. It's a bit uncomfortable me saying this, but you can't sell into China B2B, a product or service, with a Western energy and Western strategy. It doesn't work. China's on another playing field. It just does not work. So absolutely, you're right. It depends on the target group. But if we're talking about B2B decision makers, you cannot take a square peg British company and put it in a Chinese round hole. It doesn't work. They need to be symbiotic. They need to fit with each other like a jigsaw. So China is relationship driven. Decision makers want to feel that you're serious, you're committed, you understand their pain and their pressure, and you're going to be here next year. You're not going to just try China for 3 months and then see ya. And what does that mean? That means you've got to speak the language properly. And I don't necessarily mean you personally have to speak Chinese. It helps if you speak Chinese, but I'm talking about literally and commercially. And ideally getting to the point where you do have a localized Chinese team. What I do, I couldn't do everything without a Chinese team. Just one Lao Wai, one foreigner, one British guy. Hello, doing business in China. It wouldn't work. I work with teams. So you've got to understand hierarchy. You've got to understand who's actually signing here. You've got to be patient with China and consistent. You cannot crack China in 2 or 3 months. It's impossible. It's years in the making. Show me someone that's cracked China in 2 or 3 months. and then built £1 million business. It's just not possible. And if you try to rush or hard close, you'll lose trust as well. But you can accelerate things by having a proper digital presence and expo presence and really growing your business out that way. So that is where it is important. But really, trust is that currency. And how do you build trust in China? WeChat, digital presence, websites, Baidu. I'm talking about B2B audiences here. Exhibiting at expos, webinars. All these ingredients is what makes a beautiful recipe. Any questions, guys? We've got quite a few people, over 100 people in here. Amazing. And I love you as well. What Amy? Got lots of people saying, I love you. Any questions, guys? Before I kind of wrap up a little bit, I've got a little closing, but I wrote all this out today because I thought it'd be quite an interesting topic, because I think this is the biggest opportunity with China right now is B2B. International companies coming to China, international companies looking at Southeast Asia as well. So Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Chinese companies going overseas. So Chinese companies going to Australia or UK or Europe. So if you are entering China, or you're already in China and you have pain, you've got some sales here, ideally not a marketing team, because marketing teams are always an obstacle for me. And from my experience, most of them don't deliver. But you're not converting. You know, things are not quite, your sales are down, local competition, you're not quite converting. You're spending on expos and on some stuff in China, and you're seeing weak ROI, return on investment. ROI. You probably don't have a proper system, an ecosystem in place, proper strategy. And China rewards commitment and clarity and delivery, right? That's really what is important. So if you really want to understand China, get in touch. You know, tell me about your pain, your requirements, your sector. You know, you could be healthcare, manufacturing, tech, life sciences. And, oh, thank you so much. You are explaining exceptionally. Oh, I appreciate that. I didn't think I was doing a good job. Good to get a little bit of kudos. I appreciate that. And if you tell me what your KPIs are, your requirements, your budget, I'll tell you whether there's a real opportunity with China or not. I've seen it with companies. I get companies every day approaching me through WeChat, LinkedIn, through my content, and they ask me, I've got this business, is there an opportunity? And I'll tell you yes or no. But you can't just tell me I do this. You got to tell me I do this. This is who I am. This is our KPIs. This is our requirements. What we want to achieve with China. This is what success looks like with China. This is our budget. Have that as a nice brief, a one-page brief, because I have had lots of companies approaching me that are not clear. And if you're not clear, that's fine, but you also need to be very clear with whether you're in or out with China. Because if you're not clear with that, if you're kind of on the fence with China, you're going to fail. So if you speak to me, there'll be no fluff. You can see how I speak. I'm very direct, patient, but I know what actually works on the ground here in China. I've lived here for over 10 years. I live in Shanghai. I do social media myself. I know what works. So get in touch. So guys, I think we're going to pretty much end it there. If anybody's got any final questions before we end things, it has been an hour. We've been in this live stream an hour. I do have a WeChat group as well, and a 小红书 group. 我有自己的粉丝群，如果你感兴趣加入我的粉丝群，你可以私信我，然后会发给你二维码. So I also speak Chinese. Well, hey, I hope you understood that if you're a Chinese speaker. So I have fan groups more for my own social media channel. But if you want to get in touch with me, if you're an international company, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me anywhere. If you don't understand what I've said and this makes no sense, it's probably because you haven't watched the whole thing. You need to go back and watch the whole thing, and then it will make total sense and clarity. And then yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about doing business in China or Southeast Asia, B2B. That's what my forte is in. And there might be a way to help. I will be posting new videos and content today. So keep an eye on my account, guys. But if you would like to join my groups, you're more than welcome to. Any final questions just before I wrap up for you beautiful people? I know who you are. May I know who are you? Like, describe yourself. I describe myself as a problem eliminator and solver and bridge between China and the West and China. I'm not sure what the questions are, guys. So like I said, there's been lots of questions. So if you've got a final question, just let me know. But yeah, I really focus on business. And my forte is, my expertise is marketing, PR, reputation management, expos. That's really where my expertise lie. And it's not so much the sales come after, right? The marketing is the most important thing of any company when you enter a market. The marketing is crucial. It's number one. And it's B2B. And I've done plenty of live streams. Go back and see my content. I've done plenty of live streams on who I am. And if you're new to the channel, go back and watch all these other live streams. Just play the listening devices. You know, you can listen to that. Just have stuff on in the background. That's how I live my podcasts, or I have radio and stuff like that on the back. I pick up on little tips. So the sector of the market that I focus on is B2B, but you think about any B2B industry, could be healthcare, manufacturing, life sciences, tech, a bit in education, but education, I wouldn't really call it B2B. I've done a bit with universities and private schools, but you know, that are targeting Chinese parents and students, but really my expertise is B2B. Cool, guys. I think I'm going to cut it there. I appreciate your wonderful support. Things are growing. Finally, my Xiaohongshu. Someone asked me about focusing on specific sectors. I think I have very eloquently told you guys what I'm focused on. But yeah, if you've got any questions, just get in touch. Get in touch. It's not hard to find me. And I'm very grateful for the wonderful support. You guys are amazing. I want to get to the point where YouTube has got hundreds of people, because right now my WeChat has got hundreds of people here, and this thing, the YouTube audience can't see this, but I've got hundreds of people in this WeChat. I've got 50 people in Xiaohongshu. Ironically, Xiaohongshu is 172,000 fans. That's incredible, right? But it would be great to get 172,000 people in here, but I don't think that's possible. I mean, my TikTok's got a few thousand now, which is great. So yeah, follow me everywhere. It's all Baidehan, Baidehan. It's not hard to find me. And thank you so much, guys. You are incredible. Appreciate your support. So let's cut it there. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Take care. Don't work too hard. And get to bed early. Don't use your phone before you go to bed unless you're watching my videos. Okay? Remember that. Take care. Stay Jen. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.